Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
On a snowy Monday in the middle of winter, James Henslee called the police to report his wife missing from their rural Michigan home. Amy disappeared while James had been at work. There were no signs of a struggle, no apparent robbery, nothing out of place. It seemed like Amy may have left on her own. Her Puma shoes and her black puffy winter coat were missing. But her purse was left behind. And it wasn't like Amy to be gone like this. 30-year-old Amy Henslee was, according to everyone who knew her, the most loving mother. She would never leave her 2 sons. To the outside world, the Hensleys seemed to have a textbook, perfect, all-American life. That was according to one neighbor. The family played outside together, and both parents always made appearances at the kids' sporting events. James, the coach, Amy, the most spirited mom, cheering in the stands. James said he hadn't seen Amy since he left for work around 7:30 a.m. on January 24th, 2011. Every day, like clockwork, James would call Amy at 10 a.m. on his break at work. But on this unusual day, Amy didn't answer, and that raised red flags. James told the Van Buren County Sheriff's Office. James said he headed home almost immediately, thinking about Amy and wondering where she might be. Back at home, the family dog was chained outside on the back porch, which is what the Hensleys always did when they were heading out. The house was locked. And inside, no Amy. James didn't waste any time. He called friends and family and asked his neighbors. One neighbor reported a black truck parked in the Hensleys' driveway that morning. A petite woman, the neighbor presumed it was Amy, came out of the house and got in the passenger seat, and then the truck left. James said he knew the truck the neighbor had seen. It belonged to his cousin, Junior Beebe Jr. James and his cousin were close and had once been roommates. When Amy turned 30, the DJ at her party at the American Legion was none other than Junior. Junior admitted to stopping at the house with his girlfriend Tanya, but he said when he knocked on the Hensleys' door around 9 a.m., no one answered. James reportedly looked distraught as he spoke with investigators from the Van Buren County Sheriff's Office. Investigators interviewed Amy's parents who lived in the area. They confirmed much of what James had said. From the sheriff's report, this was out of the ordinary for their daughter, and she is very, very dedicated to her children, and they have no information or knowledge of Amy having a medical or psychological issue or an altercation with anyone to make her want to leave. Amy was like the all-American mom that she lived and breathed for her children. The missing persons report was escalated, since by all accounts, Amy wasn't the kind of mother to be absent when her boys got off the bus from school, or to miss her husband's daily morning call. Amy was now a missing, endangered person. James, along with their family and friends, began searching for Amy and posting flyers around the neighborhood. Junior helped too, posting on Facebook that anyone with information should contact authorities. The local media reported on the mystery in the small southwest Michigan town of Hartford. The sheriff's investigation cast a spotlight on James and Amy's marriage. At times, the law enforcement probe raised more questions than answers and revealed uncomfortable issues of alleged infidelity, drugs, and betrayal. Was one of the Hensleys living a double life? And what, if anything, did it have to do with Amy's disappearance? This is Jillian, and in partnership with Law and Crime, you are listening to Court Junkie, episode 188. There were plenty of leads in the disappearance of Amy Henslee. Some of those leads were better than others. The Van Buren County Sheriff's investigators checked the Henslee home for evidence. Their report detailed their observations. They noted it was messy, which was how the house normally looked. Amy was a fan of daytime television and spending time with her sons, not really of being a neat, stay-at-home mom, according to friends. Investigators found several firearms, but the guns weren't loaded and didn't appear to have been fired recently. Just in case, they collected evidence, like swabbing a dark purple crusted stain on the arm of the sofa. They thought the purple stain was from jelly, but who could be sure? On the wall, they swabbed something red, which looked like some red paint. In a bedroom drawer was $300 in cash that James had saved up. In the kitchen garbage, an empty Marlboro cigarette package with a green substance resembling marijuana. Investigators looked through the Hensleys' trash, with James's permission, in case Amy threw away a note or left some kind of trail behind. They checked James's phone. According to the sheriff's report, officers didn't locate any other items or clues as to where Amy may have gone. They asked one of the Henslee boys, who was 10 and in 5th grade, about places Amy had taken them. The boy remembered going to a trailer a couple of times just before Christmas. The kids had waited 10 or 15 minutes in the car while Amy went inside. The deputy went on a goose chase of finding out which trailer park or campground it may have been and figuring out who the owner was and if that person had seen Amy. The trailer, where the boy recalled seeing a black truck, was news to James. He had no idea Amy took the kids there. Investigators canvassed the neighborhood, but no one saw anything that raised alarms. Aside from neighbors, authorities interviewed friends, family, colleagues, anyone who knew the couple. Brenda Measton was Amy's mom. The last time she saw Amy was on January 23rd, the day before she went missing. It was an NFL Sunday, and the family, who were big sports fans, watched the playoffs together. Amy usually rooted for the Minnesota Vikings. Nothing seemed wrong with her, according to her mom. Everything was normal. Amy made plans to go grocery shopping with a family member, since she was dependent on others for transportation. The sheriff's office went through a list of questions. Was Amy active on Facebook? Did she have any friends who might want to do her harm? Did Amy keep her feelings bottled up inside? Was the marriage between James and Amy healthy? Did anyone ever pick Amy up and give her a ride? Brenda answered them all. No, Amy wasn't into Facebook. She gave some names of acquaintances who had troubled pasts, but none of that proved to be useful to deputies. It was noted in the sheriff's report that Brenda said that Amy was very vocal, and if she was mad, she let you know. Brenda also stated that Amy's marriage had ups and downs, just like any marriage, but that James loved Amy very much. Amy Henslee was only 5 feet tall, a petite brunette. Yet she was a loud, enthusiastic presence in the stands of her son's wrestling matches, while her husband, who was once one of the top wrestlers in the state in high school, coached the team. According to a piece published in the Kalamazoo Gazette, often she was compared to dynamite, little and full of boom. She was an active mom, who never missed her children's sporting events. She loved to cheer for her kids. But Amy and James wanted to grow their family and have a third child. Amy wanted a girl, so she wouldn't feel so outnumbered in the household of 3 males. Her family, her husband, then her children, came relatively early in her life. She had graduated from Hartford High School in 1999, the same year she married James Henslee. They knew each other for 6 months when they got married. Amy then became a mom. She enjoyed scrapbooking and camping and the challenge of saving money on grocery store trips, according to a post in the Kalamazoo Gazette. Amy had career aspirations too. She wanted to work as a nurse. She took some steps to her goal of working in healthcare, getting certified in phlebotomy, and taking nursing classes, although she hadn't finished her studies. More recently, though, Amy had been working at the department store Elder Bierman until she quit 4 months earlier and returned to stay at home with her boys. James described his beloved daily ritual with Amy. She dressed in her pink bathrobe, waving goodbye at the window, as she sent James off to work at his welding job and her children to school. He recalled the last morning he saw her. He told investigators, "I just remember her having a little spot of toothpaste on her lip and giggling about it. I gave her a little kiss. We kissed like 3 times." Married for 12 years, the Hensleys lived in a modest house off a country road in rural Hartford Township. The nearest mid-sized city was Kalamazoo, which is halfway between Chicago and Detroit. Heading down Interstate 94, west towards Chicago, 35 minutes from Kalamazoo, you would pass Exit 46, the Hartford stop. It was a blip on the interstate, a city of less than 3,000 people. Living in the country, there appeared to be a sense of isolation. Amy didn't have a cell phone. They had shut off the service. She had access to a landline at the house, which is how James called her every day at 10 a.m. to check in. The house didn't have internet, but Amy could go to the public library if she wanted to send an email or log onto Facebook, although she didn't do it often. The family had only one working car, which James took to work. Every day he called her at 10 a.m. to check in on his break. He would then come home for lunch and they would watch Divorce Court on TV before he went back to welding. There were gossip and rumors that had put Amy on edge. Neighbors reported what they said was a suspicious-looking person trespassing in the backyard. And across the street lived boys who were known for causing trouble. Amy once called them pests and said she didn't want her younger sons hanging out with them. James told sheriff's investigators his wife was petite and pretty, which made him concerned about her safety while he worked during the day. "She always makes sure the doors are locked when she's inside," he said, "so she's real leery of that kind of stuff." Amy wasn't the kind of person to just open the door for anyone if her husband was away. Jen Carpenter remembered following Amy Henslee's disappearance on social media in 2011. Jen was glued to the case, feeling a kinship to Amy, a stranger who shared many things in common with her.
Amy Henslee, to me, I just felt almost kind of an instant connection. She looked like someone I would be friends with, both being young moms with 2 sons. We were the same age, our kids were the same age, and we only lived about an hour apart.
A decade later, Jen, a true crime fan, covered the case on her podcast.
I am the host of So Dead, which is a podcast about true crime focused on Michigan cases, which is where I live. I also own a bookshop that is dedicated to true crime books, which is in Lansing, Michigan. So we sell true crime, dark history, a little bit of paranormal, and we do cover in the bookstore broader than Michigan, but there's still a pretty heavy focus on local cases.
Some of the statements James Henslee gave the police initially made Jen pause. It seemed to her like James and Amy might not have had a healthy relationship. For James to call and check on Amy every morning, for example, seemed kind of controlling, Jen said. Rumors were swirling throughout the community and beyond. The case was beginning to attract attention online, particularly on message boards. But no one seemed any closer to discovering where was Amy Henslee. Deputies interviewed the people in Amy's inner circle who might know more about her and what she was possibly going through at the time of her disappearance. Michelle was the HR manager at Elder Bierman, which is the store where Amy worked until September 2010. Michelle had plenty to tell sheriff's investigators. So did Amy's other former coworkers. Here's what they said according to the sheriff's investigative report. Michelle told investigators that she liked Amy a lot. She said Amy was a very happy person most of the time, and that everyone seemed to get along with her. She was a very good worker, and they hated to see her go when she decided to leave her job. Michelle told investigators that Amy used to go out partying quite a bit with some other employees, and that they would stay out late. She also alleged that Amy may have been having an affair with a man named Darnell, who used to work for the custodial staff at the store. According to the sheriff's investigative report, another employee told investigators that Amy had told her she was seeing someone else, and that she had overheard conversations with her husband about getting a divorce. This employee said Amy would talk to her about financial issues she and her husband were having, and that she didn't seem like she was happy in the last couple weeks she worked there. This employee also told investigators that Amy told her she was in an abusive relationship, although she said it wasn't physically abusive, but verbally. Quote, she complained about her husband being very controlling over her, and she felt that possibly he did not trust her. A third employee said she believed Amy was having an affair with Darnell. Another person to give a statement to law enforcement was Sarah, the fiancé of Amy's brother. In August 2010, Sarah joined the Hensleys on a family trip to the amusement park, Michigan Adventure. Sarah had vertigo, so she skipped the rides. She spent most of the day hanging out with Amy, where the two women talked. Amy talked about her marriage. At that point, Amy stated that she did not know what she wanted to do, the sheriff's report said. Sarah had told Amy that relationships had a lot of ups and downs, and that she needed to try to work things out. Sarah said she noticed that Amy and James weren't getting along. Amy seemed aloof. She was focused on her phone. Quote, Sarah stated that on that date, Amy spent a lot of time on the phone with someone that Sarah did not know of. But every time Amy got on the phone, she would walk away from Sarah. Sarah's words were, Amy seemed very distant from James. The Hensleys seemed to be under stress. Sarah told investigators that it seemed like Amy and James lived a very social life, and that Amy's parents were starting to get upset because they were watching the boys more and more on the weekends. Sarah stated financially it seemed like they were in a bit of trouble. James and Amy were going out to the bars, and bills weren't getting paid. She said that in 2010, she believed the couple had to cash in a retirement account to pay for the house, a car, and for Christmas. As for relationship issues, Sarah said she did know about those, but she just figured it was because they got married and had kids so young. Sarah told investigators that Amy was a very good mom to her kids and thought that she was a good wife, but that after Amy went missing and after talking to some people, she believed Amy may have been living a double life. But by the time Amy and James watched the NFL playoffs in January 2011, the day before Amy disappeared, they seemed happy. Sarah was hopeful they were healing their marriage. All these interviews gave investigators some insight into the Hensleys' marriage, at least as much as they could from Amy's viewpoint, since Amy wasn't there to speak for herself. Investigators learned that Amy had also been struggling with prescription pills. Merlin Utley was easy for investigators to locate for an interview. He was in jail. Investigators traveled to Berrien County Jail and interviewed Merlin about Amy. Amy was close with Merlin's mother. James's sister had married into the Utley family, which is how they all became acquainted. From the sheriff's report, quote, Merlin did state that Amy used prescription drugs, specifically Vicodin. Merlin stated, "She's a pillhead." We asked Merlin how he knew this, and he stated that she has requested the prescription medication from him in the past. We asked about any other drug use, and Merlin stated that he doesn't know of any other drug use, that she was just interested in the prescription medication. With investigators there, Merlin called his mother. Merlin's mother told investigators, quote, that as far as she knew, Amy was not unhappy or having any problems. She stated that the last time she saw Amy was a couple of weeks ago when Amy came to visit her, and at that time, Amy showed no signs of problems. Amy was complaining that her back was hurting, but that was the only thing she complained about. What Merlin told investigators matched with what James Henslee had also said. He had said that he had taken Amy to a clinic after Christmas because she was having stomach pains. It ended up being a withdrawal from what appeared to be a Vicodin addiction. James said Amy's side had been hurting her, and she was having trouble breathing. She finally told him that she was having a problem with Vicodin, so he took her to the hospital. According to the sheriff's report, James said, I asked her, is this where all of our money went to? Because everything was months behind. She said it's been going on for a while. She just never told me. James said he didn't ask Amy where she got the pills. I tried to be lenient about it because I love my wife, and I just wanted her to know that she didn't have to lie to me about that stuff. But she just never wanted to hear me complain about it or preach it to her, he said. Investigators also learned that Amy owed James's cousin, Junior BB Jr., $30 for Vicodin pills, and that Junior had told his ex-girlfriend, Christy, that he wanted to get the money from her. He said Amy wanted to buy more pills, and that's why he stopped by her house that morning, on the day she went missing. Investigators continued to search for Amy Henslee, although the weather was often against them. On one particular day, they rode ATVs and snowmobiles, searching the cornfields and woods along the Van Buren County Trail. Volunteers were on foot, scouting the swamps and the woodlines. The snow was coming down harder on this 20-degree Michigan winter day. The search crews were about to give up. And there were still other people left to talk to, like Darnell, the man some of Amy's coworkers said she was having an affair with. Darnell was no longer at Elder Bierman. Investigators tracked him down and found his phone number. Darnell told them the last time he saw Amy was in November 2010, and he denied knowing her current whereabouts. They decided they wanted to interview Darnell a second time, but that would turn out not to be necessary. New information started coming in. Investigators canceled their follow-up appointment with Darnell. Human investigators didn't make the biggest break in the Amy Henslee missing persons case. Dogs did. On the trail were at least 2 Labrador Retriever canine dogs that could detect the scent of dead bodies. Requested by the Henslee family, Mid-Michigan Working Dog, a civilian group, got involved in the search. The dogs sniffed a piece of Amy's clothing and then began tracking. The canine group picked up her scent at the Hensleys' garage. Then another lead took the dogs to County Road 376 and County Road 687 in Bangor Township, less than 5 miles from the Hensleys' house. The scent took them to a small camper trailer in the swampy woods, about a quarter mile from the road. There was no sign of Amy Henslee, but investigators saw blood in the snow. The dogs and the civilian volunteers had done their job. Now, the investigators asked them to leave, and the area by the trailer was marked off. It was a crime scene. 10 to 15 feet from the trailer, 2 large clumps of blood had frozen in the snow. Blood on the camper door, too. And there was more blood, mixed with dirt and leaves, marking a tree in 2 large spots about 7 feet up the bark, as if someone had hit a bloody shovel against it. The land belonged to someone very familiar with the case, Philip Beebe, who was Junior Beebe Jr.'s uncle. Authorities got quick permission from Philip Beebe to search the trailer, but they didn't want to waste any time. One deputy climbed in through a window since the door was locked. He didn't see anything. The trailer was empty. The sheriff's office turned over the investigation to the Michigan State Police, which had the resources and tools to analyze DNA and conduct a more intensive probe. Deputies stood guard of the trailer, waiting for MSP to arrive. That's when they noticed that somebody was walking in the woods, someone not dressed in the familiar navy blue uniform of the state police patrol. The man wore blue jeans and a checkered flannel hooded sweatshirt. He wasn't tall, only about 5'6", but he was stocky at about 220 pounds, the bulky build of an amateur MMA fighter. It was 34-year-old Junior Beebe Jr., or BJ as his family called him. Junior identified himself to the deputies. He said he was just coming to pick up a heater from his trailer on his uncle's land. Why did he need to go to the camper so badly? They asked him. Junior said he was working on a transmission at a friend's house and their heater broke. He knew he had an extra one out in his camper trailer in the woods. Junior had to have seen the blood in the snow. Deputies patted him down to make sure he didn't have any weapons on him, and then took him to speak with higher-ranking investigators. They asked him about the blood, and right away, Junior's demeanor changed. He lowered his head, and his breathing turned heavy. "I know what happened to Amy," Junior said. What Junior then told them ended some of the mystery surrounding Amy Henslee's disappearance. Junior's statements also shocked the outside world. Someone else was missing, besides Amy Henslee. Someone who apparently hadn't been on their radar. The following is the story Junior Beebe Jr. told authorities, according to the sheriff's report, a partially redacted Michigan State Police report, and court documents. According to Junior, he was Amy's dealer, selling prescription pills. He claimed they also had been having a secret affair for 18 months. On that Monday morning, Junior said he invited Amy, still dressed in her pink pajamas under her coat, back to his camper to watch one of his MMA videos. They smoked a joint. The camper was fitted with a bed, a couch, a small toilet, and a cabinet that contained a sink and stove. Their time together was short. Junior said he knew Amy needed to be back at home by 10 a.m. for her husband's morning check-in call. He said he and Amy were being romantic together when his girlfriend, Tanya Howarth, barged in, flinging open the door and catching them in the act. "I knew you guys were doing this," he said Tanya screamed. Amy and Tanya then started fighting. Tanya fired a shot and Amy went down. Tanya then racked the shotgun and hit Amy in the chest. She looked straight at Junior and said, "You're next." He said she tried to rack the gun, but it jammed. Then there was a scuffle, Junior fighting Tanya for the gun. Junior claimed he shot Tanya in self-defense. Tanya was rail thin, but was taller than Junior. She was stronger than he thought she was. She put up a good fight, he said. Tanya was in an evil state of mind with the gun, he told police. Quote, "The gun went off. I think it got her when I threw her around and got behind her. And I think it got her in the back. And then from there, I had the gun and I shot her down. Shot down towards the floor, and that was it. I just shot. I hadn't tried to aim. I just shot down. It was just all in the moment. I was just hyped up. Junior said he was then alone with 2 dead women. He said he thought about shooting himself. I didn't know what to do. I saw Amy lying there. I thought about doing myself, but I couldn't do that to my kid or mom and dad, and I couldn't see myself laying there with Amy. Where were Tanya and Amy now? Investigators asked. I buried them, Junior replied. In 2 shallow graves, 3 feet down, authorities found the body of 30-year-old Amy Henslee and 36-year-old Tanya Howarth, both dead from gunshot wounds. Junior explained how he tried to cover his tracks. The shootings happened on Monday. On Wednesday, he returned to the camper and buried their bodies, using cleaning solution to wipe away the blood inside. He did a poor job. Police zeroed in on the droplets of blood Junior missed. It was more of the evidence building in the state's case against Junior B.B. Jr. I should have just called the police. That's where I made a mistake, he said later. Instead of trying to cover it up, that was my mistake right there. I ain't a person. I ain't no murderer. That's not me. Junior hadn't told anyone about Amy and Tanya's deaths. He told police it felt good to let it out and finally speak of it. The shooting happened so fast. I can't believe it happened, Junior said. It's unreal. I've been laying there dreaming and thinking and hoping it's just a dream. But then I hear the news and everything and know it wasn't a dream. Junior had continued talking to investigators, even after he was read his Miranda rights. I can't believe what's happened, he said. I just want to let you all know what went on and that this has nothing to do with me. The Michigan State Police records are heavily redacted, so it's hard to know everything that Junior and other sources told police. But Junior admitted to doing drugs the day before the shootings. The report said he and Tanya had been up for 2 to 3 nights, and he seems to imply that they were on a meth bender, even though the records are again redacted. Those who knew Junior told police he had a history of using meth. Junior was arrested at 8:35 p.m. on January 27, 2011, and he was booked into the Van Buren County Jail. Junior's mother told police she had asked her son where his girlfriend Tanya was days earlier. Junior claimed Tanya was visiting family. No one suspected she was in jeopardy, unlike Amy's family, who called police immediately, put up missing posters, and alerted the media.
I feel like Tanya gets lost a lot in the stories because here's Amy, this beautiful young mother with 2 boys that just disappeared. And the story started with searching for her, and no one even knew Tanya was missing until they found her in the grave with Amy. And so I feel like she gets lost in a lot of the stories, but it sounds like sounds like she was lost.
Who was Tanya Howarth? Her obituary described the happier moments, saying, Tanya enjoyed the simple things in life, including NASCAR, going to the Hartford Speedway, collecting wind chimes, country music, road trips, and watching horror movies. The Southwest Michigan native was remembered for her kind heart and her willingness to always help others. The sheriff's report made it clear Tanya lived a difficult life. She didn't work because she suffered from back pain and had scoliosis. She was a caretaker. Since Tanya and Junior were together, Tanya helped watch over Junior's father, who was a paraplegic. Tanya was an alleged victim of domestic abuse at the hands of her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Junior. She also struggled with drugs. She was a mother of 2 daughters, but was estranged from at least one of her children.
She had a couple of daughters. She didn't have custody of them. And then when she got with Junior, he was very isolating, kept her from her family and friends. They got very heavy into doing and dealing drugs. And so all of the articles that I've read that do focus on Tanya, it just sounds like a really sad life. And like she was very trapped with Junior and very controlled by him. And then, of course, once they got into doing drugs, that played a big role in how things ended up.
One of Tanya's daughters contacted the sheriff's office after hearing that 2 bodies had been found by Junior's trailer. She told police she wasn't on good terms with her mom, that they didn't speak often. The girl arrived at the police station and recounted the troubled relationship between her mom and Junior. She said she didn't get along with her mom because Tanya chose Junior over her. They often fought over him. When one officer asked her about her mom's friends, she said her mom didn't have any because Junior wouldn't allow her to. Her social life was all about Junior. The girl said that the month prior she saw bruises on her mom, and even though her mom would say she fell down the stairs or had hurt herself, she knew they were from Junior. A woman named Stephanie was engaged to one of Junior's family members and had gotten close to Tanya during the prior 6 months. Stephanie noticed the bruises on Tanya's face and body, and how Tanya wore a hoodie and tucked her head low to hide the marks. Stephanie said she was scared for Tanya's life. She tried to get her friend to confide in her. At first, Tanya made excuses. Then she finally opened up. Quote, Stephanie advised that when she finally got Tanya private, away from Junior, that Tanya admitted that all the injuries were sustained at the hands of Junior. Tanya admitted Junior beat her. Stephanie advised that Tanya did have some cracked ribs that were sustained from an assault from Junior that had occurred just before Christmas. Tanya had advised Stephanie that she had gone to the hospital to be checked, but Stephanie wasn't sure if Tanya ever really did or not. Stephanie advised that she had told Tanya 1,000,000 times to leave Junior, but Tanya advised that she was afraid to, stated that every time she was going to leave him or told him she was going to leave him, he would beat her, and Tanya would never be able to go any place where he would not be able to find her. Who was Junior, or BJ as his family called him? Law enforcement records and media reports depicted a troubled person. He didn't have a traditional job. He was paid $500 a month to take care of his dad by the state. To earn more, he did odd jobs, scrapping and collecting used tires. He was in the process of buying 5 acres of land from his uncle. Junior was physical. He liked MMA fighting. He was a hunter. He also lived in pain. He took Vicodin for a bad back that he had hurt at work and during a car crash in 1997. The Kalamazoo Gazette reported that neighbors complained Junior was brash and loud and acted tough, especially when he had been drinking. In his past, Junior reportedly abused animals, lighting cats on fire, and at one time he allegedly killed and boiled a rat. He shot off his guns, which infuriated the neighbors. Junior came from a family that had well-documented struggles. Junior's brother was incarcerated. He had often been in trouble too. He had a history of inappropriate behavior and senseless violence. Junior's ex-girlfriend, Christy, accused him of punching her in the head and of emotional abuse during the course of their 7-year relationship. Junior was a father of 2 children. He had a 13-year-old son whom he shared custody with Christy. The Gazette researched Junior's criminal history that showed he had been arrested 7 times between 1995 and 2005. He pleaded guilty to a variety of offenses, including attempted larceny, possession of marijuana, operating a vehicle while impaired, and disturbing the peace. All misdemeanors.
He had a lawyer on retainer just in general because he was arrested so often. The cops were at his house all the time. They never solved the case, but he's the prime suspect in burning down the Coloma police department. It was burned down through arson, and he was the prime suspect and also had admitted to Amy's husband that he was the one that did it. So he was in trouble with the law so much even before the murders that he just had a lawyer on retainer at all times.
Junior had been close with his cousin, James. They were once roommates and shared an apartment. They played on the same American Legion softball team. And at that American Legion, when Amy turned 30 on May 1st, Junior was the DJ at her birthday party. And Junior also seemed to have his eye on Amy. He seemed infatuated with her. This was according to Roy Wimbley Jr., another cousin of James and Junior. According to Roy, Junior told him that if James ever died, or if James and Amy ever divorced, he wanted to swoop in. In the sheriff's report, quote, the investigating officer asked Roy if he had ever seen Junior act on this, to which Roy stated that he had not. Roy only believed that Junior had an interest in Amy Henslee. With Junior Beebe Jr. arrested for murder, some of his family members viewed certain conversations in a new light and contacted the sheriff's office to report them. On January 25th, the day after Amy vanished, family members looked for her along a trail near the Henslee home. Junior called one of them. What are you doing? Where are you searching? If you go somewhere else, give me a call so I can help, he had offered. The family member reported the phone conversation to the sheriff's office, since it looked like Junior was trying to get inside intel on the search. Christy, the mother of Junior's child, received strange phone calls from Junior the week Amy was missing. Junior called Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of that week, asking for Christy to come over and help him figure out how to use a gift card. It didn't make sense, Christy thought later, after Junior had been arrested for murder. Was he trying to lure her to his place to kill her? Did she know too much because Junior had confided in her that he had visited his cousin's house the day Amy disappeared? The sheriff's report said Christy also told the investigating officer that Junior, to her knowledge, had sold Vicodin for years to Amy Henslee. Roy echoed what Christy had said. Junior stored his Vicodin pills in his camper. Amy was addicted to the prescription pills and called Junior when she needed some, Roy said. Roy didn't think Amy would be involved with Junior or want a romantic relationship with him. She just wanted him as her dealer. Investigators asked Christy what she knew about Tanya Howarth's relationship with Junior. Christy stated that Tanya took care of Junior's father and that the relationship between Junior and Tanya was on and off. Christy also said that occasionally the relationship was very confrontational. She said that Tanya, on occasion, could be aggressive or jealous in nature. Christy also told investigators that occasionally when she would talk to Junior on a cell phone, that Tanya would get mad, thinking there was more to it than discussions about their son. Tanya had good reason to be angry and jealous. Christy listed off several women Junior had cheated on Tanya with. One of those names she gave was Amy Henslee. Christy was convinced that Junior and Amy were having an affair. She told investigators that her son knew about it too. He had told her that Tanya had caught them together before. But others in her life doubted Amy was cheating on her husband at all, let alone with Junior. The Hensleys' neighbor, Cynthia Forrester, had known Amy and James since they were kids. Now as adults, Cynthia's son and the Henslee boys played on the same sports team. Cynthia said she had heard the rumors about Amy and Junior having an affair, and that under no circumstances could she believe that Amy would ever have been with Junior. She told investigators that Amy was in a league above Junior, and that she could not even imagine Amy going someplace with Junior by herself, that just would not be like her. Quote, Cynthia was asked if she had ever seen Amy and Junior together. Cynthia stated that her daughter, who is 18, is involved in MMA fighting. Cynthia stated that she has been to the fights a few times before and saw Amy there with James. Cynthia stated that she did see Amy talking to Junior occasionally or standing by him, but stated that Amy always looked very uncomfortable around him. She said Amy was the person everyone always wanted to be around. She and James were high school sweethearts. Junior, on the other hand, was a shady character. Cynthia didn't want to associate with someone like that. Stephanie, who again was a fiancée of another one of Junior's cousins, also said she was surprised Amy would go anywhere with Junior. Stephanie thought that Amy kind of hated Junior, according to the sheriff's report. Junior's story, how he had been romantically involved with Amy in the trailer when Tanya caught them, just didn't add up to some family and friends, and they told the police that. What also seemed strange, Tanya as the shooter. Roy remembered an incident when Tanya struggled while handling guns. In November 2010, just a few months earlier, Roy, Tanya, Junior, and a few others were out shooting at Junior's property. Here's what the sheriff's report said about it. Roy also stated that while they were there, they were shooting the shotguns, using target loads, but also had slugs as well. Roy stated that Junior had borrowed one of his slugs for the 12 gauge and had placed one in it without Tanya's knowledge and gave it to Tanya to shoot, knowing that the larger charge of a slug would give a kick when the gun was fired. Roy stated that after Tanya had shot the double-barreled 12 gauge with the slug in it, she no longer wished to shoot shotguns anymore, being that it had hurt her shoulder. Roy stated that Junior had done this as a prank. Roy stated that prior to the prank, Tanya had shot his shotgun and that Tanya had difficulty pumping the shotgun to rack another round into the gun, and that he had to rack the next gun into the shotgun chamber for Tanya. It didn't seem like Tanya was very good with guns at all. Junior BB Jr. stood trial in a courtroom in Paw Paw, Michigan, about 7 months after Tanya and Amy's deaths. In opening statements, Junior's defense attorney argued that he shouldn't be convicted of Amy's death. Junior did not kill his cousin's wife, he said. As for Tanya's death, he said the most appropriate verdict was either guilty of manslaughter or not guilty by reason of self-defense. We all agree that 2 people are dead from gunshot wounds, and a third person was present, he said. But that's all the prosecutor has. He said the only story that made sense was Junior's. The affair with Amy followed by a confrontation with Tanya in the camper. Amy's supporters called Junior a liar. James told the media he didn't want anyone to slander his wife's name. As the trial began, the local newspapers and television stations covered the proceedings. Amy's disappearance and murder had caught the attention of the national spotlight, such as the Today Show. The state presented the evidence against Junior. The autopsies revealed that Amy had marijuana in her blood and urine, while Tanya had nicotine, as well as methamphetamine and its byproducts in her system. Amy's body was scratched and bruised, injuries that had happened shortly before her death. She had been shot twice, in the leg and the fatal blow in the chest. The bullet entered Amy's left inner thigh, and the pellet moved upwards towards her pelvis. The expert testimony suggested that Amy was either sitting down or was standing with her knee bent and her foot resting on a higher object when she was shot. The shot was fired within 6 inches of Amy's leg. As for the chest wound, according to court records, that shot was fired from 2 to 3 feet away, and the angle at which the pellets traveled through her torso suggested that Amy was sitting and her shooter was standing. Tanya had been shot in the head twice. One of those bullets, to the back of her head, seemed execution style. Soot on Tanya's skull and tissues revealed that the gun had been pressed against her head. The second shot entered behind Tanya's right ear. This shot was fired from approximately 4 feet away and traveled into the brain with no angle. The trajectory of the shotgun shell suggested that Tanya was lying at the ground at the time of the second shot. In the graves that Junior dug, authorities found shotgun shells, empty cement bags, cement that was beginning to harden, black garbage bags, blankets, duct tape, and clothes. Analysis was done on the blood that Junior missed in his cleanup inside the camper. The blood belonged to Junior or Tanya. No DNA material inside the camper was conclusively matched to Amy, according to court documents. The officers also found several pellets in the camper door and floor that were ejected from a shotgun shell when fired. The pellets were consistent with those found inside Tanya's skull and were likely fired from the same shell. Junior had also directed the officers to the rifle, which he had hidden underneath a mattress in another trailer located on the property. Cellular material matching Junior's DNA profile was found on 12 locations on the rifle. Forensic investigators found no usable fingerprints. The prosecution and the defense rested without Junior taking the stand. Would the jury believe his story? The jury deliberated for 2 hours on a Friday without reaching a verdict, and then went home for the weekend. They reconvened on Tuesday and continued. The Kalamazoo Gazette reported that the jury asked the judge if they could convict Junior on a lesser charge of accessory to murder, but the judge said no. Finally, they reached their verdict.
Michigan versus Junior Lee Beebe Jr. We, the jury, find defendant Junior Lee Beebe Jr. in regard to Amy Sue Henslee guilty in the second degree. Please hold your motions. Count 2, possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony. Guilty of possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony. In the case of the People's State of Michigan versus Junior Lee Beebe Jr., in regard to the victim Tanya Ashley Howarth, we the jury find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder. Count 2, possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony, guilty of possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony.
They found Junior guilty of first-degree murder in the death of his girlfriend Tanya, and guilty of second-degree murder in Amy's death. They also convicted him of 2 counts of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. James Henslee had some angry words for his cousin when he gave his victim impact statement at Junior's sentencing in September 2011. "She was the best thing that ever happened to me," he said, holding up a family picture of him and Amy and their sons. "I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with her. Now she's gone because you decided to play God. Now I have to be a mother and a father because you decided to take her away. I hope the rest of your life is a living hell." Amy's mother told Junior, "If I could lay my hands on you, I would tear you up." Junior also read a letter in the courtroom. "I did not shoot Amy. Amy was my friend. I was not in my right frame of mind when I shot Tanya. I love Tanya. I should not have shot Tanya," he said. According to the Gazette, the 2 women's family and friends angrily grumbled and hissed at Junior's words. Junior appealed his conviction, but the Michigan Court of Appeals ruled against him in January 2013. Throughout the years, Junior has adamantly maintained that he did not kill Amy. He remains in prison, serving out a life sentence. Now 45 years old, he is currently incarcerated at Kinross Correctional Facility in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, about 400 miles away from the quiet town of Hartford, where Amy Henslee once lived with her family. Even though the court proceedings are over, the circumstances remain murky into Amy and Tanya's deaths on that snowy morning in the camper trailer. Jen said she believes Junior's story, while at the same time she doesn't trust him. Perhaps a sentiment many who hear about this case can relate to.
I definitely think it's plausible that his story, that Tanya came home and she was on drugs and she caught him and Amy and picked up the shotgun and started shooting, I think it's plausible. I don't know. I struggle with it. I mean, I try to approach these without emotion and look at like what's the most logical. And I believe that his story is possibly true. Not necessarily, but I can see it. When the only person that knows what happened is a psychopath and a murderer and a drug addict who was actively on drugs at the time of the murders, how much are you ever going to trust anything he says? And he's the only one that's still alive that actually knows what happened.
And that's all for this episode. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this case. Let me know by joining the conversation on Instagram at CourtJunkie, by tweeting me at CourtJunkiePod, or by emailing me at podcast@courtjunkie.com. This episode was researched and written by Gabrielle Russon, who actually covered this case early on in her journalism career. A special thank you to Jen Carpenter from the So Dead podcast for talking to us about her coverage on this case. Make sure to check out her podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And to hear these episodes without the ads and to hear additional Court Junkie bonus episodes, check out my Patreon options at courtjunkie.com/support. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.